How's everybody doing out there? So today we're moving on to some topics that just involve counting. So all of our answers in this section are going to be just whole numbers. So there's no fractions yet. So in the next section we're going to be dealing with probabilities of fundamental counting, permutations, combinations, and things like that. But for now, there's no fractions. So everything's just going to be different ways to count. So like I mentioned in the last video, up to this point, the way we've counted is just kind of our old traditional. We lay out all the different numbers. We can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. So these methods are a little bit more complicated. There's like other events going on. So in order to count them, ends up being slightly more complicated than just regular counting. So that's why we need these other techniques of fundamental counting principle, permutations, and combinations. So to get us started with fundamental counting principle, to get an idea of how it actually works, we're going to start off with a little demo of drawing a tree diagram to try to see if we can count how many class schedules are possible by actually building every single class schedule that's available for this example 1. So if we look for example 1, we're trying to schedule our classes for the semester. We have 3 choices for our math class. So we've got a Monday, Wednesday at 8, Monday, Wednesday at 9:30, Monday, Wednesday at 12:30, and then we have 2 choices for history, Tuesday, Thursday at 8, and Tuesday, Thursday at 2. And we want to list all the possible schedules that we could make with these 2 classes. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to just sort of write out every single possibility and use a tree diagram in order to help us with this. So I'm going to go ahead and use the 3 choices for math first. So in order to draw that, we're going to have 3 branches to represent our 3 different math classes. So I'm going to get something that looks like this. And so what we've got is we've got our 8 o'clock class, we've got our 9:30, and then we've got our 12:30. So again, this first branch, remember, is all math. And then off of each one of those, we have 2 possible branches because we have 2 possible history classes to go along with each one of them. So we could have an 8 o'clock math class paired with the 8 o'clock history or the 2 o'clock history. We could take the 9:30 math class and pair it with the 8 o'clock history or the 2 o'clock history. Or we could take the 12:30 math class and pair it with the 8 o'clock history or the 2 o'clock history. And then when we go through, this is, allows you to sort of visualize what each class would look like. And if we go to the end, just count how many branches we have available. It looks like we have 6 possible classes we can make from those 3 math classes and 2 history classes. So we can make 6 possible schedules out of those 5 classes. All right. So what if we want to throw in an extra class? So what if we decide, hey, let's add science to the mix? And so I've got a couple choices for our science class here. How many possible schedules could we now make with the 3 math, the 2 history, and the 2 science classes? So what we can do is we can kind of extend our tree diagram that we already had here. And so I'm going to cheat a little bit for you guys just to save some time. And I'm going to copy it. And drag it down below. So if you have fancy iPads at home, you can do this too. If not, sorry. All right, let's see if I can delete these. Yes, let me delete these numbers real quick. And so now off of each of these, I want to make 2 more branches. So I'm going to make a branch here for my 11 o'clock. Oops, let me write them in the right order. So for my 2 o'clock science class or my 11 o'clock science class, this gets ugly fast trying to draw this in here. So there's another science, another group of science classes. Should I give myself a name? Woo. So again, just like above, what we want to do is go through, count each of the in branches. And so it looks like we have 12 possible choices, or 12 possible schedules that we can make with our 3 math classes, 2 history classes, and 2 science classes. So hopefully someone might have recognized a pattern already, because again, when these problems get much, much bigger, we're definitely not going to want to draw tree diagrams in order to try to figure out what our answer is. We ultimately want to be able to use a formula or something like that. And so if we noticed in this situation, we had 3 math classes, 2 history classes. So if I would have just taken the 3 times 2, I would have gotten the same 6 right away. So if I wasn't interested in seeing what the actual schedules looked like, and I just wanted to know, hey, how many possible schedules are there, I could have just simply taken the math, multiplied it by the number of history, gotten my answer. So same thing down below. I've got my same math, same history. Now we added science to the mix. If I multiply these guys all together, again, I get my 12. And again, if I'm not interested in knowing what the schedules look like, and I just want to know how many schedules there are, I could have just multiplied the number of math classes times the number of history times the number of science classes. And so what we've actually done, this is what's called the fundamental counting principle in this case. So our fundamental counting principle just takes groups of elements in different categories and multiplies them together to give us the total number of ways these things can all be combined together. So everything's broken up into categories. We multiply each of those categories together, and then that tells us how many ways we can combine them together. All right, so let's have you guys work on practice 1, practice 2, practice 3. So practice 4, let's hang on to that one for a second. And let's see, practice 5. So let's actually do practice 4 and practice 5 together, because these are a little tricky. So go ahead. I'm going to do a separate video to start with those, because that's going to lead us into the next topic really well. So go ahead, do practice 1, practice 2, practice 3. Come back for the next video. We'll go through practice 4 together.